Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Digital Skill Talks. My name is Yim Zhang, and I'm the member of the Digital Skills and Jobs platform team, and I will be the moderator of the talk today. The Digital Skills Talks series is a new online format launched by the Digital Skills and Job platform. The episodes have been taking place in January of this year, and with the participation of technology experts to bring you knowledge, insights on different digital topics such as AI, the virtual world, cybersecurity, data, and with a focus on digital skills. And with 30 minutes for each episode, the Digital Skills Talk is live streamed on Microsoft Teams and at the Facebook account of the Digital Skills and Job platform at Digital Skills EU. And in today's episode, we will talk about coding. Does it sound a bit technical for you? Actually, it's not, I promise. And especially with the two special guests joining us today, we will talk about the impact of EU Code Week, the role of coding skills in the digital era, and how business and educational institutions can work together to make coding skills more accessible and inclusive. And now, my pleasure to introduce the guest of us today, Stamatios Papadakis, the Colquitt Council President, Assistant Professor, Department of Preschool Education, University of Crete. Welcome, Stamatios.
Thank you for the invitation.
And the second guest joining us today is Avanti Sharma, Breathing Technology Specialist and Head of Business Development at Workshop for Me. Welcome, Avanti.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot for spending time with us today. During the EU Code Week launch, I had the chance to meet both of you in person, and it was great. And now we meet again in the Digital Skill Talk today, and we can share some reflection on the EU Code Week. My first question will go to Stamatios. The EU Code Week took place in October, so 1 month ago. With a lot of activities happened across Europe. So besides your nomination as the new EU Code Week, the new Code Week Council President, what were the main achievements and the highlights of this year's episode in your view?
Yes. In reflecting on the successes of EU Code Week 2024, it has been a remarkable edition with a few important accomplishments. This year saw a strong emphasis on increasing engagement and inclusivity across Europe, continuing, of course, the growth momentum from previous years. Over 63,000 activities and events were organized, with countries such as Turkey, Italy, and Poland leading in terms of participation. However, Malta, Greece, and Monaco distinguished itself by having the highest number of events per million people, demonstrating the action's impact even in smaller countries in Europe. So, playful coding activities were the most prominent, engaging students with interactive and fun approaches to learning coding basics, with over 30,000 activities in this category. Importantly, kindergarten and elementary school students made up almost half of the participants, with over 3 million people involved in total. Also, a significant achievement this year was a success in promoting gender equality. More than 50% of participants were female, underlying the inclusivity of the event. Furthermore, this edition highlighted a hybrid approach to events, with a majority being in person, which fostered community engagement after the disruptions caused by the pandemic. So, as the newly elected president of EU Code Week, I'm very proud of the collaboration within the community, as showed by the various physical meetings and events, including, of course, our September 2024 assembly in Brussels, which laid out the strategic direction for future editions. Looking ahead, we aim to maintain this momentum, broadening access to digital literacy and continuing to inspire the next generation of coders. In this respect, the recreation of the EU Code Week website reflects the project's commitment to staying up to date and making resources more accessible to participants. Also, the creation of new learning materials covering all educational level topics such as coding, STEM, generative AI, highlights the comprehensive nature of the resources provided. These aspects further demonstrate the versatility of EU Code Week to involve its digital literacy needs and emerging technology like AI, cybersecurity, as you already mentioned.
Thanks a lot. Very impressive data, right? We can see that there's a lot of activities took place in many countries of Europe and involve of many target people, for example, from the young people, from kids, and also we can see clearly the collaboration between business, also with school, and especially when you mention about the community. I know that EU Code Week is a grassroots initiative, so which means that the community play a very important role there. Maybe you can continue with that. Maybe you can share a little bit about the community of EU Code Week. Who are they?
Yes, the community has to do with ambassadors, has to do with leading teachers, and of course with all teachers and educators all across all disciplines in the educational system of Europe. What is most important for me is that all of us, we are working voluntarily. And we try to implement coding activities within our daily teaching practice, or most of us, we are working also after school activities in coding clubs, working with parents, with students. And I want also to highlight what is most important is that a lot of kindergarten teachers and primary school teachers are working with students and coding activities. And this is very, very important because we know from research that early interventions in the first years of schooling, it's too important for cultivating positive thoughts regarding codings and of course other disciplines like numeracy, literacy, and so on.
Yeah, that's amazing to know that this is a community of volunteers, and they spend their time and effort in order to bring coding closer to the community in their country. Thanks a lot for that. That's very interesting. And now a question to Avanti. So you took part in the EU Code Week launch event in October, and you gave your insights on how to inspire young people, especially girls, to pursue opportunities in the technology sector and to advocate for a more inclusive learning environment that supports the gender balance in the digital space. And based on your personal experience, what special strategies could you recommend to attract more women and minorities to pursue the coding careers and thrive in the tech-driven industries?
So, I mean, that's a great question. And I think it's very important to have the tech sector as inclusive as possible. Stamatios also mentioned one of the goals of, especially this year's EU Code Week, was gender equality. And that's incredibly important to decrease the gap between men and women in STEM. But I think that when we're looking at strategies, I think it's important to look at the root causes of how this happens in the first place. And I think that what happens is it's kind of founded on three main pillars, which continuously end up failing for us to have such a large gap. I mean, I would say that the first would be often a time for young children and the youth of today, adults passing on their own biases through their education, which they've already had, and through their experiences, and kind of leaving the child to figure out what to do. And if we look at an example of this, we see that there isn't much of a framework of, the decision-making skills at a young age given to the child, which makes it quite difficult for them to choose a career in tech or to choose a career in something else. And often at times this ends up reflecting a lot on the young girls who think that tech is not a space for them. Now, I can give an example on this point quite quickly is if we see right now the kind of decision-making framework is completely distorted amongst different communities, which makes it favor some and completely leave the minorities out. So if we see right now there's three major conflicts happening in the world, and if we see the population, adult population, is completely divided, almost 50-50% on the facts, on the information, on who is right and who is wrong. I think there's a big reflection of the kind of huge disparity which we see happening. And then what happens is those biases are transferred onto the child, who will continue doing it later. And the second kind of big pillar which I see which needs to be addressed and fixed is the career advisors at a young age. So we see that teens at a very young age, at the age of 15, make a huge decision in their lives. And that decision is if they want to pursue higher mathematics, or if they want to drop mathematics completely and pursue other subjects. Now, this is an important decision because later on it opens or closes doors based on what they can do or not. And one of those big ones which we're talking about today is tech, and in particular coding. Now, what happens a lot in these situations is that the career advisor often advises the young children, the young school students, do whatever you want, follow your passion and follow your heart. This is very good in theory, but you know, there's so many passions which a child could have. They could have maybe 5 different passions. And this is also coming from me, who is also a school student, that, you know, it doesn't help in this crucial decision-making point to leave the onus onto the child of deciding for themselves. An ideal situation would be that the advisor sits down and is able to identify the strengths and talents of the student in front of them and say that if you pursue this, these will be the consequences, and this is what will happen. And if you pursue this, these will be the consequences. And I think that specifically also has to happen in the domain of tech, because I think tech is very much of an unknown, unfriendly word. Like, I mean, if you think of networks, you know, like, where's the Wi-Fi? I can't see it. I can't feel it. Like, where is it? And that is kind of a role which has to be brought out through the career advisors in this field. So I think that the strategies I would recommend is, one, kind of getting everyone, including girls, but including everyone, to feel comfortable with technology. And for that, various applications can be developed. Some has to happen through schools and the education system. Others must happen through the career advisors. But then the other aspect is also addressing the harassment online, which often happens to young girls and teens. And for that, I'm already working on some solutions like Studified, which helps teens identify who is a real person online and who may be kind of catfishing them. And the second main pillar, or the strategy which has to be worked on, is kind of getting adults to leave the child without the inherent biases or experiences which they have before, to let them make up their mind about the new upcoming technologies which did not exist if we look back 20, 30 years ago.
That's great. Many interesting points that I can hear from your answers, which means that firstly, we need to really make technology become kind of like familiar, have more knowledge and more information for people, especially kids and young people, right? In order to understand that technology is not that complicated in ways. Of course, there are the complicated part, but there are also the part that are totally relevant for other to join as well. And especially that we need to come together also to create a safe space, especially for young people, for kids, in order to feel comfortable to use the internet, the digital space in a way that can help them to develop as well, right? That's very interesting that you share. And now in the technology part, as the beginning that I shared, that we also want to touch on how to create an inclusive learning environment, which means that how we can close the gender gap in the technology world. So I could say that closing this gender gap, which means that now we have like more men, more boys in the digital world than women and girls. So this is definitely one of the challenges for the development of coding skills in the future. Now, Stamatios, I could like to hear a little bit from you. What could be other challenges besides the gender imbalance that we see now for professionals in coding and education providers that they will face in the coming years?
Yes. Yes, of course, I agree with you that closing the gender gap is indeed one of the major challenges in developing coding skills, but of course, it's not the only one. As coding becomes a part of education and the future workforce, several other challenges will arise. To begin with, it's about digital inequality. While technology is becoming more widespread, there are still significant gaps in access to digital tools and the internet across different regions and socioeconomic groups in Europe. So, for coding education to be effective, we need to ensure equitable access to devices, internet connectivity, and educational resources globally. Without addressing this, we risk deepening existing inequalities. Second, we have to keep pace with rapid technological change. As technology evolves quickly, so do the skills required to work with it. So, the challenge for educational providers will be to update curricula and teaching materials to reflect the latest advancements in areas such as AI, data science, blockchain, and cybersecurity. Ensuring that teachers and educators are trained to teach this emerging technology will be crucial. Also, it's also important to integrate coding across disciplines. We know that coding is no longer just for computer scientists. It's becoming a critical skill across industries. The challenge now will be integrating coding into various fields of education subjects in a way that demonstrates its relevance, allowing students to apply it in diverse contents. Also, we have to motivate students to act with coding activities beyond enthusiasm. While coding appeals to some students naturally, there is still a need to motivate a broader range of learners. This includes making coding relevant to student interests, such as integrating coding into creative fields like digital art, music, or storytelling, and providing its practical applications in solving real-world problems. Finally, we have to think about soft skills and ethical considerations. As automation and AI play a bigger role in the future, coding professionals, we also need strong problem solving, critical thinking, and collaborative skills. Additionally, education must focus on the ethical implication of technology, teaching students about data privacy, responsible AI use, and the broader impact of their work. So, to sum up, is coding essential for the future generation? My opinion is that it's absolutely. In a world where digital solutions are integrated into every aspect of our lives, coding becomes a foundational skill like literacy and numeracy because it empowers individuals to understand, create, and navigate digital environments, helping them not just to use technology, but to shape its future. Beyond the technical ability, coding fosters problem solving, logical thinking, and creativity, skills that are considered too important in any career. To sum up, considering these challenges and providing the next generation with coding and digital skills, we can ensure that they are not only prepared for future job markets, but also they are capable of driving innovation and addressing global challenges.
Thanks, Stamatios. Clearly, the coding skill is not just coding skills, but through coding skills, students, kids, young people, and general people as well can learn many other things. For example, like problem solving, like strategic thinking, right? Many things behind coding skill. And it's also the fact that the technology world is a fast-paced world. many things changing, even within months, within years. So it's clearly, as you said, that the challenge that can be is how to make the learning, the training program more relevant to the need of the market, and how to make the student also adapt, not just student but also teachers, training provider, to adapt, to adjust their program to catch up with the change of technology as well. And continue to this discussion, I have one question for Avanti. How can business and educational institutions can collaborate to address the coding skills gap effectively, and how public-private partnership support here, in your opinion?
I think that is a great question, and I think that there's a very important point to address, the collaboration between both of these sectors. Now, so just before I mentioned that, we see that, you can't really, often a time, we can't really see networks, we can't see the internet, we can't see Wi-Fi, so often there's a huge disconnect between what we think it is and what it really is. And I think that that's also a reason which a lot of young people do not want to get into tech, because you can't see it. There's things which you can clearly see. Like if you make a table with wood, you can clearly see start to finish what you have and what it will make. But with something like Wi-Fi, you can't really see where it starts, where it ends, And I think that one big way to address this gap between theory, what we think something is, and reality, is kind of partnering up and joining and making a partnership between these two sectors to connect, and for students to see what actually happens and how it implements it in the real world. Recently, earlier this year, I was a speaker at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Now, that's the world's most influential connectivity event, and it has a lot to do with telecom, with how communications and signal transfer works. And I was on a panel with another panelist, Joel Rosen, and he mentioned a very important point, that these tech conferences are often closed off to the general public and for, common man's learning experience. And there's a very valid point. So obviously a conference can stay closed for a few days, but I think that opening different events, opening different conferences, and also allowing tours within a private sector's company or within what they do, and seeing the technology as it is something which is crucial, because then you can actually see the end product and you have to see where you're heading. And I think an important example of this would be football. When you score a goal, you have to actually see the goal and know what you're aiming for. If you aim randomly, there's a very low chance you're going to hit that goal. And for us at EU Code Week, one of the goals is to address the digital divide, and also just to address and kind of get more young people into STEM and into tech, as it's an area which is going to completely grow in the next 5 to 10 years with the upcoming technologies of generative AI. And to solve this skills deficit, which we have right now in tech and in coding, we need to show the appeal to young people. We need to show what influence and what impact they can actually make in society. And I think that that is how we can best partner and collaborate between these two sectors.
Which means that to make technology and especially coding skills more interesting for people, we need to let them kind of touch the technology in different way, right? Understand more about technology, know how it works, and feel confident about using technology as well. And that can be done through coding skills and of course other digital skills as well. And continue with that, if you can have one message to the young people out there who are stand in front of the technology world, want to and don't know how to start, what can be your message to them?
So, I mean, my message would be, recently I started to learn to drive, and I noticed that when you miss an exit, then you can get another one, but it just takes a lot more time and effort, and it's difficult. So if you're young, I would say that start early. It's the same as driving. You have the opportunity of starting early, so make sure not to miss that exit, because then you're going to have a lot more baggage to unload when you do get it.
And for especially girls, what can be the message you have for them?
Right. So for girls, I think that is very important. What I would say is, look, coding is not just a black guy sitting in a hoodie and hacking something at midnight, with a green text on the screen. That's not what coding is, even though that's a lot of our stereotypes, and it was mine for a very long time as well. I would say that, look, everything you see around you, coding can help with. It can make you be more creative. It can help you make music. And honestly, it can help you with your general tasks. And it's doing that right now. So tech is really an integral part of our everyday lives. And I know that often as girls, we want to help people a lot. We want to help people, and we really do want to make the world a better place. And I just want to share the message that coding and learning tech is one of the most influential things that you can do to make the world a better place.
Thanks a lot, Avanti. I really love that energy and the motivation that you have to share with young people, especially girls. And Stamatios, talking about the EU COVID community, if you have one message to all the community out there, to all the volunteers who are dedicating their time and effort to bring coding skills closer to their community and to their countries, what can be your message to them?
Okay, yes, my message is too simple. Keep up the good work. And I am very positive that next year we will have enormous activities, because I am seeing that the new consortium that run the EU Code Week, it's fully enthusiastic to provide educators with a lot of new activities, new topics such as AI. As I already mentioned, they work to improve the EU Code Week site, the whole experience. So yes, keep up the good work, and the good things are coming.
That's great. And of course, during the year, right, we understand that EU Code Week is not just 2 weeks of activity.
Of course.
Took place in October, but that will be the whole years of different activity, different effort in order to make coding skills more relevant, more accessible to people as well. And I think those messages from Avanti and Stamatios is a great wrap up for our talk today. Just want to highlight more about the talk that we have is that the collaboration between businesses and educational institutions is crucial in order to make coding skill more accessible and inclusive, and of course in order to involve more young people, especially girls, in the technology sector, in become more relevant, more familiar with coding skill. We need more education, we need more information, we need to present to them with more example of how technology, especially how coding skills, can help them in life and in shaping their future career as well. I think we had a really great discussion today. One more time, thanks a lot, Avanti and Stamatios, to be with us today, share your insights about the topic and a lot of motivating and inspiring message as well. And for the audience who still stay with us until this time, thanks a lot for your participation. And especially if you're interested in coding skills, don't forget to check the digital skills and job platform, because there are many opportunities for coding skills training out there. That you can check and find the relevant one for you. And also, of course, we can talk about, coding skills for many more hours, but we only have 30 minutes for these digital skill talks. But the topic will continue. Many more information about how to make coding skills more relevant will be also updated on the digital skills and job platform. And don't forget to that in January, we will come with the next episode of the digital skills talks. And please follow the social media and the website of the digital skills and job platform via Facebook at Digital Skills EU, and subscribe to the newsletter in order to receive up-to-date information on this topic and other digital skills topic as well. Thanks a lot for your participation. Have a nice day, and goodbye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.